What is your most weird kink fetish? Okay, so this one is super specific. It's a combination of fetishes, I suppose. Being face-sitted and dominated by my GF while she's wearing poofy ball gowns/wedding dresses. I once wanted to be choked between a woman's thighs. Edit, didn't know my most upvoted comment will be about my fetishes. Just to clarify, by once, I meant once upon a time. That fetish is still there, but it has greatly subsided after I started taking BJJ classes and was on the receiving end of triangle chokes, often from half guard. My GF will sometimes grab my head while riding, pull it really close to her head and grin and giggle in excitement. When she does that, you can see a little bit of insanity in her eyes, and it's just so hot. As a man, I've always been the dominant partner in bed. Had a long relationship with a girl when I was young, so after a couple years we started trying kinky things to keep things spicy. We were too young to be bored of sex. When I started dating after that relationship, I found that most women, or at least most women that showed interest in me, were extremely into men who could confidently dominate them in bed. I'm 6 feet 6 inches, close to 400 pounds, and always carried a little teenage insecurity that women would never find me attractive, so having women not only be interested in me, but willing to do anything I wanted within certain limits was always extremely gratifying. Now 10 years have gone by and I still like playing my part, especially with a new partner. But after so many years of being in control, nothing would be more sexy to me than to one time have some innocent-looking petite woman who I could throw around like a rag doll make me her bitch. I couldn't sub all the time, but just once with the right person has become my fantasy. Being trapped in a tight space with someone who I don't want to have sex with, and they keep getting hard and apologizing to me, but neither of us can move. I don't know why I think of this stuff, but it enters my thoughts often. Edit, be cool. I don't have to explain or accept your explanation. I'm also not concerned about it. I think I will be alright, and I think you'll be alright, too. 8. Rule 8: be respectful to other users at all times, and conduct your behavior in a civil manner. I admittedly have a bit of an interest in the idea of consensual somnophilia, preferably between a couple. The thought of having so much trust in your partner that one or both of you would allow them to have sexual contact with you/them in your/their sleep seems appealing to me. Putting this into actual practice would probably be more difficult than it seems. My wife told me I have a free pass to do that whenever I want. It's her kink to be used that way. It's not a kink for me, but it's fun. She still moans and seems to enjoy it, but never opens her eyes. I ask if she remembers the next day, and her answer is usually, vaguely. Kinda amuses me that I can pleasure her without her fully realizing it. I've told her about things I'm into, and she's been willing to do them with me. Good relationships are all about trust and communication. Sometimes it's embarrassing to admit weird stuff that you're into, but maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. I have a funny story for this. I am into this as well, and shared that with my husband. We had the talks, set the boundaries, all the good respectful things. One night, my sweet and horny husband goes for it. In my sleep, I brushed his hands off repeatedly, so he stopped because he figured I wasn't into it that night. The second time he tried, I grabbed his hands from between my legs and handed them back to him, so again he stopped. The third time, I flat out told him to knock it off. I was dead asleep through all 3 encounters and remember none of them. I guess wakey me is into the idea, but sleepy me disagrees. May never get to fulfill that particular fantasy, lol. Similar to my case, genders reversed. I've given consent to my partners to feel free while I was asleep without expecting the same in return. The only one who attempted reported something like what you did. Does breeding count? Seems rather vanilla in comparison to what I see in the comments, but there's something about a guy coming you like nature intended my body for. It's just very primal, but it's sexy. I have a non-hormonal IUD OFC, otherwise I wouldn't say that's safe. I think it is my most weird because of the details. I have a breeding kink, but I am 100% child-free. AKA, I don't want children, ever. Plus I can't actually get pregnant since I'm sterile. And yet I have a kink of being bred. I think it is more of the primal part of it than the actual impregnating part, but yes. I'm a child-free woman with a breeding kink. Very weird, haha. As a guy I have this too. When I was hooking up with my best friend I told her about it and she thought it was kind of funny, but during the next time we were having sex when she asked, "Do you want to put a baby in me?" I'll admit it was kinda weird at first because I wasn't expecting it, but when she told me to put a baby in her I fucking lost it. Greatest orgasm I ever had. My whole body was limp for like 10 minutes. I think the best part is when she told me afterwards that it was really hot. Occasionally when closing out a week my wife will recognize that I'm feeling frisky even though she's had a rough week, and she'll decide to mix cannabis and booze, which will completely knock her out, and she'll give me conscious pre-consent to use her body for whatever I want once she's passed out as long as it's not anything that will hurt her, and after 20 years of marriage we have pretty well-defined boundaries. I love being able to just use her as an unconscious fuck toy, and she loves knowing that it's going to happen and then gets off on hearing about it the next day. Edit, disclaimer for my Canadian brothers. Don't try this at home, LOL. Make sure you talk it out first. What's allowed and what's not. Last thing you want is to be woken up in pain. Lube is your friend, but he's responsible for cleanup. He has to remember that you still need to breath. First commenter was not wrong, it takes trust. I want someone who wants to talk about biology with me. Seductive voice. Tardigrades don't really have a heart. They don't need one, because their body cavity is small enough. Instead, they use the Malpighian tubules to create an osmotic gradient to suck hemolymph into the tubules where it is filtered. Filtered hemolymph fluid then flows back to the open body cavity, much like with insects and some other panarthropods. But keep in mind that panarthropods is not synonymous to the clade Arthropoda, rather it contains Arthropoda and several other, much smaller groups. Waste products are transported by the Malpighian tubules to the ileum, and from there to the rectum to be disposed of. I love tying up women. Mostly their hands tied above their head and their feet tied together. Maybe a collar or something around their neck. My absolute favorite is watching them squirm but also being helpless and knowing I can do anything I want, obviously respecting boundaries and stuff, but the idea I can gets me super excited. Thanks for watching. If you're eager to hear more wild stories, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to leave us a like. Also, let us know a crazy story from yourself in the comments section below. Also, feel free to check out other fun videos in our channel. See you soon.